Welcome, everybody, to the Wonder Boldly podcast. I'm Christine Santos, bringing to you all of the action steps and knowledge I've learned on my journey to becoming an online business owner, quit my corporate job, and now live the life that I desire on my own terms. This podcast is jam-packed with all the knowledge I've gained over the past few years growing my online business. I am so passionate about you going after what it is that you want. I want to encourage and motivate you to know that you too can live the life that you desire. Thank you so much for listening. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wonder Boldly. On today's episode, I want to talk about taking a look at what you're doing to grow your business and how you can be more effective with your time. And so why am I recording this episode today? So I'm recording this episode today because I myself found that I wasn't really being effective with my time today. So as you know, I help a mental health clinician and we work with elderly patients. And one of my elderly patients is actually in a facility that's a little bit further from my home than some of my other patients. And I plan to go see her today, and something came up, life happened, right? And I was thinking I didn't have time to go see her. So I started to look at my schedule and say, okay, how can I rearrange some things maybe tomorrow? How can I make this happen, basically? And that would mean phone calls, rearranging appointments, doing some errands, maybe in a different location or on a different day. So there was a lot of moving pieces, as we all know. We have jam-packed schedules, and all the things that I needed to do to accommodate seeing her on some other day was not an efficient use of my time. And not only that, but the time I was spending or would have to spend to figure out how I could make this work on some other day was eating up valuable time, right? So instead, I decided to go and see her. And I also want to say this in that I was going to feel really good seeing her. I enjoy helping in the mental health sector. And so, yes, I could have rearranged things and it might have made my day a little bit easier, but I wouldn't have felt as good. So that happened. So I ended up going to see her, and it was so great to see her, and I was glad that I did. She's so cute. Then somebody reached out to me and asked me about how to use something in Audacity. And as you know, as a podcast producer, podcast host, I have clients and I produce their podcasts. I love Audacity. No secret there. They actually didn't know they were asking me how to use Audacity, but they had a question about their podcast and some things to do there in regards to marketing. And we communicate in Voxer. And I left maybe a 7-minute Voxer trying to explain how they could do what they wanted to do in Audacity. And it was really easy to do that. But to explain it maybe wasn't so easy because there are a lot of switches and tools and things that are needed. So to explain it without a visual wasn't really the most efficient or effective way to go about it. But I did do that. I explained it in Voxer, and she sent me back a message saying she understood and was moving forward. So that's all good. But my point is, it took me about 7 minutes to explain it. I probably stated it a couple of different ways. And then not only my time, you're like 7 minutes, and that's no big deal. But when you are assisting people, when you have clients, and you know this, and you're helping people, it's really important to be efficient with your time and effective. And not only that, her time as well, our client's time as well, because it took me 7 minutes to explain that. She's going to have to listen to that, probably play it a couple of times, and then apply it, sit at her computer and apply it. So I'm always really super aware of the time that I spend, not only my time, but my client's time. Hence, my Wonder Boldly podcast is typically really in shorter segments because I want to give you action steps. I want you to be able to take the action steps and then move forward. That's just my own personal style. So I thought to myself after that, you know what? It would have been so much more efficient if I had jumped on Zoom. Now, I know a lot of you prefer Loom, whichever. That's not my point. I use Zoom for everything. So I'll record something in Zoom and then I'll send it to a client. So it would have been much more efficient if I had hopped on Zoom, did a quick recording, showing her in Audacity what needed to be done, and then send it to her. So saving myself time, saving her time, and additionally, I can repurpose that. I get that question a lot, and I could then send that video to my other clients or maybe even use it as a social media post and say, hey, if you're struggling with this, this is one way you can approach it in Audacity. So let's recap. I want you to take a look at how you are using your time and also how it's affecting your clients' time, how it's affecting your audience, your community. Let's be efficient with all of our time, right? So I'm going to give you an exercise, and I learned of this exercise from David Bach. I so appreciate his work in regards to finances. And if you don't know my story, I used to be in over $100,000 in debt. And with David Bach's books, listening to his podcast, his newsletter, all the things, I am now 100% debt free, except for my mortgage. I take that back. Except for my mortgage, but everything else debt free. So one of the things that I learned from him, and I forget what he called it, and I'm going to butcher it, but I want to use it. It was in regards to finance, but I want to use it in regards to your schedule, to the things that you are doing to grow your business. So it is this method where you're going to create 3 columns. You're going to need a piece of paper or a spreadsheet, however you want to do it. You're going to have a now column. You're going to have a not now column, and you're going to have a never going to happen column. So, and I'm going to give you examples. So we are all working to grow our business, and we have things in our days that we are doing. We're working with our client. We're creating marketing material. We're growing our communities, all the things. You know all the things. And on our to-do list, on our schedules, we have items that probably need an audit. So I'm going to use myself as the example. So I have my 3 columns here, the now, not now, and never going to happen. And on my schedule or on my to-do list, I'm going to give you 3 examples. I have grow my community, I have finish my rebrand, and I have create the course. Now, if I am honest with myself and I look at those items, I can tell you, 1, growing my community, I've been doing this for approximately 5 years. And I wish 5 years ago, all the things that people tell you. I started back then with taking Amy Porterfield's course. I love Amy Porterfield. Follow her if you don't. She has amazing courses. Anyways, she is all about growing your email list. And I took that years ago. I still have it. I think it's like, what's that called, you guys? You can buy it and you have a lifetime access, which I don't really believe in that for a lot of things, if you've listened to some of my other podcasts, but we're going to let that lie for now. So anyways, I wish I had done that years ago. I've done it in dribs and drabs. I obviously have a community. Thank you so much to all of you who are here and you're listening. I so appreciate you more than you know. I know everybody says that, but it's so true. I so appreciate you. And I wish I had continued to grow my community over the course of the last 5 years. So that is on my to-do list. I'm going through a rebrand. I'm rebranding my website. If you've been on my website, Wonder Boldly, lately, you can see it is under construction. And I have a course that I wanted to put out a while ago. So that's on my list. So in my columns, I am putting under the now column, increasing my community, growing my email list, growing my community. And that is something I'm focusing on in, I was going to say an hour a week, but it's more than that. I think it's in my schedule, 3 hours a week. The other thing is the rebrand. I'm so excited about the rebrand. I actually wanted to have more of a black and white feel when I first started, and I didn't do it. And I'm back there again. I love the ocean. I love black and white, really clean lines. So that's what the rebrand is going to be. It's in the works. So that is not now. So let me be really clear what I mean by now and not now. I'm talking about like set a time frame that you're thinking about when you put this list together. The next month, the next week. So for me, it's the next week. Let's just say that in this example. So this week, I'm going to definitely focus on the email, growing the email list in the community. But I'm not going to be working on the rebrand of the website. So that is for next week. And that course, at the time when I wanted to create that course and I started to create it, it was on brand. It made sense. Since then, and honestly, I'm embarrassed to say this, it's been on the to-do list for a couple of years. And if you've been following along that long, you know that my main focus right now is producing podcasts. So that course isn't relative to my community right now. And I don't feel good about it. I'm not excited about it. Not that I don't feel good about it, but I'm not excited about it. And I'm not going to bring the right energy to it. So you know what? It's just not going to happen. So I'm putting that in the it's not going to happen column. And then I'm getting rid of that. We don't keep that column around, the items in that column, because you're going to go back and think about it. Well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Nope. Delete. Get rid of that. So now this week, I know I'm focusing on growing my community. And next week, I'm going to focus on my rebrand. So that was my example, to give you an example of how I apply this. Take a look at it for yourself. Look at your to-do list. What are those things on your to-do list that you're, first of all, not being efficient with? And what are the things on your to-do list that you want to attack now? What are the things on the to-do list that you're going to attack later? And what are the things on this to-do list, let's be honest with ourselves, that we're never going to get to? Okay, that's it for this week. I hope you found that helpful. And until next time, continue to wonder boldly.